I'm here now with George Anastasopoulos for another episode of Timekeepers. Thanks for being here.
Glad to be back.
Now, last we spoke, we were talking about gratitude. Do you want to revisit that a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. You know, we get frustrated by the assault on our calendars and our to-do lists and so little time to do so much of what needs doing, right? And I pointed out that the frustration was really the price we pay for the things that we ought to be grateful for, which is what comes from those frustrations.
And you had 3 G's of grateful.
I did, absolutely. And so gratitude was one of those 3 G's, and the other 2 being generosity and grace. And those 3 together would lead to greater happiness and greater health, and quite honestly, pretty much a guarantee, and that's another G for you.
And what are we talking about today?
Today we're going to talk about the lazy bear.
Lazy bear. And what does that have to do with time management?
Well, that's exactly the question. So I'll share a story with you. Family goes to the zoo, and they visit the various exhibits. And at one point, they go to the zookeeper's office, and they're quite upset. They go to see the zookeeper and says, "Zookeeper, you got to do something about the black bear. He's sitting on a stump, and he's crying, and there's tears running down his face, and his shoulders are heaving. There's something wrong with the bear." Zookeeper says, "Don't worry about it. It's a lazy bear." They say, no, you got to understand, there's something wrong with the bear. He's clearly in distress. You've got to do something. "Not to worry about it," says the zookeeper. "It's just a lazy bear." So the father pipes in and says, "Okay, so what's all this about the lazy bear?" And so the zookeeper says, "You've got to understand something. That bear is sitting on a stump, and I know there's a very sharp, jagged protrusion coming out from that stump, and it's jabbing him in the behind. And it hurts enough to complain about it, but not enough to move."
So the bear was causing his own problem.
Exactly. So by sitting there, he's complaining about it.
And complaining is not a good way to spend your time.
Absolutely, and that's really the theme of today's discussion here, and that is that when we're complaining, a bunch of things are happening. Number one, it's a paralytic agent. It prevents us from actually moving because we're focused on this thing that's holding us back that we're complaining about. Number 2, it promotes a woe is me attitude. You know, how can this happen? You know, this is terrible. I'm complaining about it. And that's victim speak, and it's victim mentality, and the woe is me. And when that happens, quite honestly, I'm not taking accountability for what's going on because, you see, it's someone else's fault that this is happening to me.
And then you're not going to do anything about it.
And then I'm not going to do anything about it because it isn't my problem. Somebody else caused this in the first place. And then lastly, if I'm complaining, you see, I'm focused on the problem, and I'm not really focused on the opportunity and the solution to that.
So complaining could also be synonymous with a waste of time.
Oh, totally. As a matter of fact, it is the classic waste of time. So if you think about what we described as the way to do things with your time and use your time, we talked about spending your time, bad spend. We talked about stretching your time, not possible. Talked about investing your time, wouldn't put it there. What's left? It's a waste of time.
So what's your advice for today?
If we can show them on the screen, I've got 3 tips that I'd like to share with our viewing audience. Number 1, notice that you're complaining and stop it. Secondly, switch on your creativity, because when you do that, you turn your focus on the problem or the complaining about the problem on the creative solution that you can find to solving the problem. And then thirdly, going back to our concept of grateful, be grateful for what's come from what you're complaining about.
Good advice. Thank you so much for sharing that here today.
Glad to
if
be
you'd
here.
like more like that, please visit leadershipfundamentals.com. Thanks, George.
Thank you.